All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Oh,
Yes, we can
awesome.
talk.
Yeah, Chairman, we can.
Awesome. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second design system meeting. Right. So, this is the agenda for today. Um, Review the design system basics. Basically, run you guys through what design systems are, why we are doing what we are doing. Right. Then we're going to define our design system. Right. Basically, we'll be stating our offering and our output. Right. Then we'll establish a design system principle, right? This is what we have here, right? So I'm basically going to show you guys how this process works. Let me control X this and control V that, right? Then next we're going to discuss the model this team will be using, right? So since we are trying to, the purpose of this is basically to get learning experience, right? So the model we'll be using to scale our team would be the model they use at companies like Google, Amazon, right? Because there are over 100 people interested in doing this, and we have to use something similar to what those enterprises are using. Then Jira. So I'll run you guys how to use Jira, both as a systems team member, as a contributor, and those that are part of design ops, right? I'll also quickly give you guys a brief on what design op is and how we're going to go about it. Yep, so that's the agenda. So let me come back here. Yeah, so what are design systems, right? So design systems are basically um, a set of visual styles. Visual style, I'm usually talking about colors, typography, layouts, right? So a set of visual styles, reusable components, right? That are usually documented and released as HTML and CSS code, um, React framework, released as a Figma library, Sketch, whatever, right? So the outputs vary depending on the goal the team is trying to achieve, right? So that's the design system. Actually, very broad, yeah. But a style guide, right, is basically what it says. It's a style guide. All your styles you do in your design, your color, your typography, your most times your icon, your layout spacing, padding, margin, right? That's your style guide. Anything, the easiest way to understand style guide is basically anything you can create as a style in Figma is a style guide, right? So let me run to Figma. Right, this is where I create my battle cards, right? So let me run to Figma. So something like this, create a style, la 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 la, create style, boom, right? So which means colors will be part of the style guides. If this was a frame, right, I can add layouts and create this as a style. So this will be my style guide, right? So anything you can assign this style property in Figma should be in your style guide. That is what the style guide should contain, right? Your colors, your layouts. Most times you have to define your grid. You can decide to use the 8-point grid, your layouts, um, your effects, right? Effects are most times they're in your style guide, then your border radius, those plenty things you use in styling your component or styling your design are what are in your style guide, right? Pattern libraries are just a step above a style guide, right? In pattern libraries, you start having components, right? You start having composite components, which is basically adding two components together. But in the atomic methodology, we call that organisms, right? You start having composite components, you start creating page templates, start creating layouts, most times even create the pages themselves, right? And you document how they use those things. That's what is in your pattern library, right? We're not yet in the design system. In the design system part, you start working on your design, you code, you publish, you document and you publish, right? So, and you also create design tokens. So, what are design tokens? Which is one of my favorite parts about design system. Yeah. So let's say we have. Let me change. Let me use one of my gradients. Come to daddy. Yeah. Change. No, that's not going to work. That won't work. That's not this Figma file. Okay, let me just create a new style. New style. Okay. Yeah. So say this is my gradient I'm using at Google. Yeah. Let's picture ourselves in Google. At Google, we have over 100 products, right? We have 100 teams working on different products. And during our Q4 review, we decided that we want to change our color to being solidarity, the Black Lives Matter movement, right, the BLM movement. And we start thinking, how do we change our color from, say, this peachy warm flame color to probably a blue, right, for over 100 products? How do you do it? Without a design system, what you will basically be doing is going to look for every instances of that color in your product and changing them manually, right? But if you are assigning this your color to a variable and making it a token, all you have to do in your design token is similar to what you do to text stars and I say text stars, similar to what you do to stars in Figma, right? All I have to do is just come here, right? Right click, edit style, and change color, right? So when I do this, right, this is going to reflect across my 100 products, right? So that is like my favorite part of design system, right? So when I change this color, it reflects, right? So you can assign design token, or you can assign these properties, right? Most of the properties like colors, text, spacing, how your layout should be, how do you want your effects to be, your border shadow, your radiuses, your font line height, your kerning, your typography itself, the font family, or the font weight, right? So you can easily change that in your design token, and it reflects across 100 products, 200 products, 4 products, right? If when you started in Figma, you were not using textiles, you weren't using components, right? And you had to make a change to a product where you designed 100 screens, right? You know how tiring that can be. Now imagine you have 100 screens for one product and you have 100 products. That's over 10,000 screens. Imagine having to manage change colors. Right? So that's one of the sweetest parts about the design system, creating design tokens for these your design elements, right? And you can easily do this as a designer, right? So you don't have to wait for a developer to say you want to change color across the product, or you want to change your typography, you want to move from a sans serif typeface to a serif typeface. All you have to do, they usually provide a JSON file, right? Go to your JSON file. For something like this, if I was to change this in my JSON file, I'll just edit this, right? JSON file is like a piece of code. I'll just edit this, come here, right? Let's say I'm using a solid color. Come here and just change the typeface to probably this, and it reflects across, right? I don't have to touch too much things in the JSON file. Same for my typography. I just have to come and change the typeface to probably Roboto or Inter or DM Sans, right? Or I'll change the font weight for my headers from black to bold, or from bold to medium, right? And that propagates across all my products, right? So design systems are products used by other products, right? So if you are creating a design system for Google and they have over 100 design systems team or a product squad, those teams will be using your product to build each of their products, right? So it's a product used by other products. And since it's a product, it's not something you do and you hand off, right? Similar to our products, we have product managers in charge of our design system. We have designers, we have developers, we have content strategists creating content guidelines. Most times they're in charge of documentation, writing the do's and don'ts for your colors, for your components. We have accessibility experts, making sure whatever components or our colors are accessible, right? Then we have DevOps, right? Sorry, design ops, right? Similar to what DevOps do in software development, we have design ops, making sure that the design process is very efficient, right? So it's a product, and um, if we are going to be doing this, right, it's not something we do and probably we release version 1.0, say July or August, or whenever we intend to release the version 1.0, right? It's not something we do and we stop doing, right? It's something that's going to go on for a lifetime, because what we are basically building is a product the federal government or teams working for the government would be using to build their product, right? So say 2023, right? A new company, an agency is in charge of probably creating a federal ministry for women affairs, or redesigning their website, or creating a mobile app, right? And they need the components they can't find there, right? What do? They make a request to the systems team, right? So imagine we are doing this for 1 year and we hand off, or we just stop doing it, right? When it's time to request that, nobody would be there to answer them, right? And long term, adoption will start dropping. There's no point of doing this if nobody's going to use it, which is why when we are defining the design system and defining the output, we have to make sure it's tailored to the adopters, people that will be using this product. Yeah, so that's basically what a design system is. Oh, do I have questions? Okay, yeah, since they can see my screen. Yeah, so that's okay. I think we have defined, we have reviewed the basics, right? So now let's define our system, right? So uh, you all admit all. Yeah, so now let's define our system. Admit. Hey, what's up?
Hello?
Yeah,
Oh, fuck off.
I'm in a meeting, oh.
Okay, yes, I know. But man, I can't like join. They say someone will let me in. I don't know if you.
Yeah, try joining again. I'll let you in.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so now let's define our system, right? So basically, we are building a product teams building for the government is going to use, right? So admit, admitting people is stressful. So yeah, so I'll say our NG design system, right? So I'm basically using the kind of naming structure those building for the UK government use. So all I have to do is Google UK design system. I've been there a lot. That should pop up here. Yeah. Okay. So what they are basically calling theirs is gov.uk design system. You can use that. Gov.ng design system. Okay. Gov.ng design system offers, right? Offers. So what's the scope of this? What are we offering the designers and developers working on this system? So what we are offering them is a visual style guide, okay, accessible UI components. I will train page layouts. I will explain why I'm training this later. I'll train page layout or templates. Okay. Come on. Okay, yeah. Page layouts and templates, right? These are the basic things. Just a guide accessible UI, page layout and templates. Okay. Documented and released. Um, documented and released. Come on. As what are we offering them? Okay. Um, from the last conversation we had, it seems most of these federal websites are built using WordPress, right? So it doesn't make sense to release this as a React framework, right? Because nobody's going to use it. Nobody's going to use it. If most of the teams building for the government are using WordPress, release this as a React framework, not only us could use, and we're just going to be there, right? So one is to be useful. So we might say released as WordPress templates, WordPress templates, WordPress template, Figma, and sketch file. Okay, documented at, let's see an example, designsystem.service.gov.uk. I could not get the gov.ng domain name. You have to go through a very stressful process to apply for it. So we'll probably find something different, but let's just say design system, designsystemng.com. I beg. Okay, right? Made by, right? Who's making it? Made by product squads. Let me say 10 product squads. 10 product squads of designers, developers, okay, content strategists, accessibility experts. Those people that are big about accessibility. Accessibility experts. Who else again is here? Who am I missing? Systems lead. Okay, system leads. And product managers. Voila. Product managers. Okay. Who is using it? The government. To serve and support. Oh, I hate typing. To serve and support um, teams building, okay, products for the government. Okay. But what I like to do here to serve and support, right? I like to make this. I like to write the product name, right? Can probably say to serve and support websites, mobile apps, and web apps. Okay, built, built by the government. Voila, and that is that. We've defined our design system, right? So this is going to act like our North Star when we start working on this, right? If you don't see, if we're not offering an editorial guide, right, there's no need for the content strategist to work on an editorial guide. If we're not releasing this as an exit template or an abstract file, there is no need for the designers to work on a file other than these two, right? If we're not releasing as HTML and CSS code via NPM or releasing as React framework, there is no need for um, us to add those to this. But I think we may want to release as HTML and CSS code, right? I've seen developers using that to build for the government. So we might even add that HTML and CSS code, okay, via NPM npm WordPress template and that. Okay, documented. This is where we're going to have our documentation, right? Documentation is basically a site like this where anybody can come to and browse through the system, right? So what else? Then that's basically it, right? I would explain how the product squads are going to work and the kind of what we'll be starting with. I think we may want to start with websites first, then we'll move to mobile apps, or we'll have a different product squad working on the mobile app design system. Right, so we've done this. I like coloring when I'm done. So give me green. And give me green. Where are you? Give me green. Okay? Yeah, so we're done with those. Now, what design process are we going to follow, right? We need to have a process in place, or rather, we have a process in place, have an establishing process in place to make sure that teams building this, right, are meeting a certain type of quality, right? So if we have 100 people working on this, right, I don't want to have to teach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 how to go about creating components or creating features in this our design system, right? So there's a process we use for this called, right? It's a 5-step process, right? So the first step is to propose what you want to do, right? So you propose. After proposing, begin design, right? If it's a component you're doing, the developer starts working on the code. Then both developer and designer will start documenting. Both developers and designers working with the content strategists, right, will start documenting the guidelines for these, right? Then after it's been reviewed, then we publish, right? So that's basically the process. But let's see it in action. So let's go to Jira Backlog. It's not taking forever to load. I use God beg you. It's my router working well. I think it is. Backlog is taking too long. Okay, yeah. So this is our backlog, right? It's basically containing the things we need to do, right? Think of it as a project dashboard, right? What do we need to do? So I think now I'm jumping into Jira talk, right? But I need to show you how this design process works, right? So these are basically some of the common processes you have to take to start your design system, right? So first you have to outline the vision, which is this. You have to outline the vision. So to start outlining the vision, the first thing you do, right, is propose, right? So the first step to take in proposing this would be, how do you go about this? Imagine you're a designer or a developer or a content strategist. Anybody can propose a vision. You are working on this. How do you propose the vision, right? So what we do at Design Ops, or what I've done rather, is provide a sort of templates that guide you through each of this process, right? So when you get to publish, right, you might want to ask, what's the process for publishing, right? So what you just do when you get to propose is click on this actions, right? You may want to create box subtask. So create a box subtask. You have all your subtask for that. So this step, or rather this story, is proposed. So when you go to subtask, you may want to look for the proposed step. So if I was the one working on this, I'll come to subtask. What am I doing? I want to propose, right? So this basically gives you all the steps to propose, right? So I'll do propose, create subtask. And that has been created, right? So if any designer is coming into this, right, they can easily see what's happening here. Let me, yeah, question?
Does that mean that we'll have to use Jira, going forward?
Yeah, it means we have
Because
to use Jira.
some
I'll
of
give you
the
guys a
people
tour on how
don't
to
use
use
it.
Jira. It means we'll have to use Jira.
Okay. Will that accommodate like an increasing number of teams without having to go paid?
I've made provision to pay for it, so we don't have an issue with that.
All right, thank you.
All right. So the first step in proposing is the proposal step. So I'll click on it. What do I need to do? This should be for a proposal step. You have to change it, right? So this is not set in stone. You can edit it to match what you are doing. So what you are basically doing in this step, since it's a proposal and not a component or a UI element, what you want to do is review product backlog, right, to see if anybody has proposed something similar. That will be the first step for this, right? I close that, right? So the next step would be review existing, same thing, close. I do not need that. Okay, so when I get to the proposal step, right, I would want to scope features and variants. So remember when we were talking about this, I was talking about releasing as an HTML and CSS code, releasing as a WordPress template, releasing as Figma, releasing as Sketch, releasing as this, releasing as that, right? Those would be the features you'll be scoping here, right? So all you have to do is just add an attachment, either a Google Doc link, a Word doc, whatever attachment you may want to add, then probably add a description, right? Then when you are done, you click on done, right? So when you click on done, it updates everybody that, oh, this person is done, right? So after that step is done, I'm always closing that, bad habit. The next step would be to complete and submit proposal, right? But if you had, don't close this, get sense. Yeah, better. Okay, next step would be to submit and complete proposal. Okay, so when you're done with that, then you have to present to the system team rep, right? So we have to approve it, right? So you're going to have a core system team in charge of proposal. So when you click on present proposal to them, they would get updated and they would have to review your proposal, right? So the whole reason for these steps, right, is to make sure whatever coming into the system is important to the system, right? So say for example, a designer comes up and probably designed one very fancy card, right, for a website he's working on for the government, right? And he's proposing to submit this. Before we allow this into the system, right, there are questions we have to ask you during this stage, right? The first question I like asking is, what other products are going to be using this, right? Because if it's a feature that your product is just using, we call it a snowflake, right? If it's a product feature or a card that you customize for just your components, you may have to restrict it to just a component. It doesn't need to be added to the design system. If no other product will be using it, it doesn't need to be here. Right, so I like asking what other components will be using, what other products will be using this um, components or this feature you're proposing, right? So when I'm done with the proposed stage, right, I may not be in charge of documentation. I may be in charge of documentation. When I get to this stage, what are the steps for documenting my proposal, right, or my feature? So what all you need to do is same thing. Click on this subtask, right? Run down to doc, right? So for doc, you set up doc file, you create your intro content. If there are content embedded in code, you put them there. You put example description. Remember, I said this is not set in stone because as you can see, most of the things I have done here, right, they are streamlined to 80% of the component of features we're working on, like colors, typography, UI components, right? Which is why I have these guidelines, accessibility guidelines, design guidelines. When you get here, you have to talk to accessibility expert, right? When you get to content parts, you have to work with the content strategist, right? So for every step in the process, right? For every step in the process, there are subtasks you can easily just use to populate your Jira story, right? Or the feature you are working on. and just get started, right? So you don't need someone to hold your hands, or you don't need to ask, what do I do next, right? So that's basically our design process. You propose. When you're done proposing, designers start designing. When they are done designing, developers start writing codes, then they document together, then they publish, right? Through each of these steps, there's a propose and review step here, propose and review, present and review, present and review, present and review, right? After the final review by the system or product owner, then we publish the design system as a 0.01 fix or a zero point 0.1 if it's a major fix, right? Or if it's a major change to the system, probably changing the whole system itself, we publish as a version 2.0. Yeah, so any questions so far? Questions?
Earlier on, you talked about releasing this entire thing as code or HTML,
Yeah.
and you said that most of the government websites use WordPress.
Yeah.
Um, wouldn't you be willing to consider um, advancing their structure to maybe like having them to link up with Gatsby or something like that, so that we can have much more dynamic changes instead of like working within that framework of WordPress?
Oh, well, this is not restricted, right? This is still, remember, I've not proposed, right? You guys have to review this when I send this as a proposal, right? I don't know much about dev, right? So they're mentioning Gatsby. I've heard Gatsby on Twitter, but I don't even know how it works, right? So it will be a system team effort to propose this. And when you are done reviewing, then we'll start saying, okay, this is our vision for this system, right? But it's not set in stone. This was just an example of what, or the template to follow for writing a proposal for the vision.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
right. Yeah, so next on the agenda, check, um, check. This would be a proposal, but let me check it, right? So it's something I posted on Google Docs here, right? So our system solve these problems. So this is a design system principle I'm proposing, right? Proposal, it's not proposed. Voila, yeah. Our system solve these problems so products can solve problems more easily, right? I did not want the design system to have very vague design principles that we may never mention when we are building, right? So when I go into a lot of design agency or companies and I see their principles for design, so something like we create magical design, we create design that wow our audience, right? Those are not really core principle or core beliefs your team member may remember much, right? But this is going to actually help us align what we are working on, right? So I like this first principle, right? We solve the easy problems so products can solve hard problems more easily, right? So basically, we don't want teams building this product to spend so much time designing buttons, designing navigation bars. These are the easy problems we're solving for them, right? We want them to focus on more difficult problems like user acquisition, engagement, retention, those metrics that drive quantifiable business outcome or increases business value, right? So we solve the easy problems so they can solve the hard problems. What I mentioned earlier, we include what's shared, we omit what's not. If you are proposing a component or an element or whatever you're proposing, and it's not something that is shared across products, it's not something that can be reused, right? It doesn't have to be in the design system, right? This may not work for us, right? I would explain it when I get to coherency, right? So this may not work. Let me just give it a color. Yeah, it's also different. Make it very colored. Yellow, better. Yeah, so favor community over control, right? So instead of using words like governance that kind of create a strict guidelines for you to follow, right? Instead, we create communities where you can guide yourself, right? All I'm just doing is just giving you a means to achieve your work easily with those templates I create, right? But the community is in charge of how the system runs, right? So we have this plenty, just 8 principles. I'll be proposing when I've added the core system team members to this Jira board. I'll be proposing you guys will review, the community will review, then after the final review, we publish this as our design system principle. All right? So that's that. Yeah, my favorite part, team models. Team models. How do you work as a team, right? So generally there are three team models when working or building a design system. You have the first and probably most common model I've seen in startups, which is the solitary model or the overload model, where you have one person in charge of the design system, right? It's the one in charge of designing, building, making fixes, right? Scaling it. If you have a problem, you run to that person, tell him your problem. He's the one in charge of designing a solution, pushing it to release, right? That is solitary model. It cannot scale for enterprises, right? The focus of this is on enterprises, right? So it cannot scale for enterprises, right? So the next model we have the centralized model, which is used by the team at Consensus. Who else uses the centralized model? I think the team at IBM, they use the centralized model. I'm not very sure, right? So we have the centralized model where you have just one systems team in charge of creating the design system, right? So we have the centralized model for that. So if you need something, you come into the systems team. Systems teams generally consist of designers, PMs, front-end devs, researchers, accessibility experts, content strategists. I think those are like the basic people you have there, right? So if you have a problem, you send it to that team, and they are the ones in charge of the design system, right? This centralized model may work most times, right? But for what we are doing, we want to use the federated model where you have different teams working on the design system at the same time, right? I can probably have a team in charge of the preview section of a landing page when we're working on page layouts. Probably have a team in charge of the footer, have a team in charge of forms, right? They are all contributing to the design system across the organization, right? So there's no one team, or you don't have a design leader in charge of the design system, right? So if you have a question, you can easily meet any team and they'll be the one to resolve your issue for you, right? So you can't say there's this one team in charge of the whole design system, right? So that's the team they use at Google Material Design, right? But an approach I want us to use is a hybrid approach of both centralized, where you have one team in charge of decision making, right? Basically in charge of reviews, not decision making necessarily, right? And you have a team you have the federated model where you have different product squads working on different products or different aspects of a product, right? So for what we are building, right, since we are starting with the web part of it, right, it's like the easiest part to get UI inventory, right? So since UI inventory is basically me going to something like NIMC, right? So for UI inventory, this is basically me running to this website. This can be better. If I talk now, I'll say I don't start. Okay, UI inventory is me basically coming here, right? Taking screenshots, taking screenshots, taking screenshots, and basically screenshotting all the UI components I can see for all pages, all sections of this website. Right? Take screenshot again. What can I see? Take screenshots. I'm gonna get. How will you? I'm not talking. So take screenshots, right? UI component. Okay, I've taken screenshot of this. I don't need it again. So I'm basically taking screenshots of all these UI components you are seeing. That's how to create a UI inventory, basically. Right? Then when you are done, you stack them together and start try to find inconsistency and consistency, right? So that's basically what it. Come on, admit. Okay, yeah. So that's basically what taking the UI inventory means, right? So you have product squads working on. I think the way we go about this, we have different product squad working on different aspects of the system, right? Because right now we're focusing on the web, right? Probably going forward after the release of the MVP, we'll start looking at mobile apps, right? I don't know if the federal government has so much mobile apps, but I know they have a lot of websites and a lot of web apps. Yeah, so that's the team model we'll be going for. We'll be going for a hybrid of centralized and federated, right? Have one team in charge of reviews and managing other teams, centralized and federated. Okay, voila, federated. And highlight this. All right, now Jira tour. Okay, so let's start Jira. If you are new to Jira, how do I create a new Jira board for people that are new to Jira? Let me see. Let me use this board. It's taking too long to load. So close. Yeah. So if you are new to Jira, right, the backlog is basically where we're going to be putting all issues we have or anything we need to work on would be on the product backlog, right? We have our roadmap. Roadmap basically reflects what's in the backlog, right? Which is the whole point of using Epic, right? So we have a backlog. Let me go through them one by one, right? Backlog is basically where you drop issues. So if I have an issue I need to drop, right? Say what issue, right? Engineering principles, right? What naming convention, what framework are the engineers going to use? How would you go about building product? Engineering principle, right? Remember I told this in 5 steps. So the first step would be obviously you propose, right? Right. Next step would be to what? Doc. We are not designing the engineering principle. We are not writing a code for it, right? It's just a principle, right? So next step would be to document that. The next step would be to publish documentation after it's been reviewed and publish. All right, so let me do one for a component. Give me a component, give me a component, give me a component. Badges, okay? For example, badges, right? I rarely see badges on federal website. But the first step for a component would be to what? Obviously propose what you have in mind. Then the next step would be to design, okay? Then the next step would be to write a code. The next step would be document guidelines, document your code, document your annotation, your design tokens, and whatever. Then the next step would be to publish after it's been reviewed and tested. Voila. Right? So now these are my stories. I call them stories, right? They are called stories. I don't call them stories. They are called stories. Right. So now we have Epic we use for organizing our stories. Let me turn on the Epic panel. Right. So the way design system works is usually it's a lot of stages, but the first stage is only the design foundation. Right? Think of the design foundation as a design language, or in branding, you can call it a brand guideline. You have your principles, you have your colors, you have your typography, and whatever other thing they use for branding, right? So for stories that follow that design principle, let's say let me go to the component, for something like layout. Layout would be in my foundation, right? It's still part of my design principle. So I'll add this to the design principle Epic, right? So I'll close this, right? Code is still code. This should be design foundation 2. Doc, I'm basically adding this to the doc side. So obviously it's going to be on the doc side. Show more. Is it loading? Where are you? Where are you? My network that bad. Aha, yeah. So this will be on the doc side. Then done. And I'll close this. Now this on the doc side, right? So this is basically helping me organize these my files. Now if I need to see everything that's being worked on under design foundation, I can just I like doing this on the product roadmap. I can just click on design foundation, right, and it loads all the tasks that needs to be done under my design foundation. I can click on my doc site and I know what needs to be documented, right? So it basically helps you organize your issues or organize your stories, right? So anything you need to do, anything we're working on, right? If we're getting to decide what tech architecture we're using or what tooling we'll be using, right? You have to be saying we are trying to design tools, right? Propose, for example, right? For example, propose. Come on, Murphy. Propose. Okay. If I click on enter, right? So what epic would I be assigning? Will I be assigning to this? Obviously, I would be assigning the tech architecture and tooling, right? So I can see that on my roadmap. I can just go here and see what tasks need to be done. We have to propose a design tool. Yeah, so epics are for organizing your files, backlogs are for creating your issues and stories, right? For those of you that have not worked in companies, either startups or enterprises, this would give you a good idea of how they go about managing their task, right? So let's say we need to have a design sprint. We need to get something done, right? Probably need to work on everything that concerns vision. So I'll just create a design sprint, create a sprint. Either you can decide to create a new issue or drag an issue from here into this, right? So all I have to do, if this is what we'll be working on our sprint, so start sprint, right? Start sprint, duration 1 week, start date, start time, sprint goal. Okay, sprint goal. Yeah, sprint goal, propose and documents, uh, design system vision, and start. So now we have a sprint. Now, if you come to your board, you see on your to-do, right? Because this were added to our DS sprint. This was added to our DS sprint. So now it gets to show on the board, right? Board is basically showing you tasks that you have to do, ones that are in progress, and the ones that are done. Okay, issues, stories, issues, they're the same thing. Anything you need to get done should be in your issues, right? You can assign issues to people. I have not added anybody, so I can't assign issue to anybody. Who are you reporting to? Probably reporting to me, right? No, don't report to me. Unassign. That might do. Okay, yeah. So what's the status of your issue? In progress, done, to do. What's the type of your issue? Obviously, we're majorly using stories, right? Yeah, so that's issue. Code. I think you have to connect to Bitbucket. This is for the dev. You have to connect to Bitbucket or GitHub. I don't know these two other icons. Don't know what they mean. Same GitLab, whatever. Yeah, so you can connect your code base here, right? The releases are basically documented what this thing means. So you can actually assign versioning to your issues, right? So for Alpha 0.01, it's basically to validate the system design and code architecture for colors, typography, icons, and button, right? So for something like, let me jump back. For something like color, right, we can assign an issue to this. Sorry, we can assign a version to this. Let me turn on versioning. Right, so we can assign a version to this. Where are you? Color. Yeah, so we can assign, this should be alpha 0.01 version, alpha. And you've assigned a version to that. And that's done, right? Project pages is where we drop our documentation, right? Naming convention for design tokens, governance, meeting notes, anything concerning documentation will be placed here. And we have add-ons, those plenty templates for subtasks we are populating. All the tasks can be edited here, right? So you basically have all the tasks here. And I think that's all the tool on Jira. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. Yeah. So any question for me? I think I've covered everything I need to cover. Yeah. So questions? Questions?
Where
Yeah.
where do we like the entire team, where do we basically congregate? How are we going to be managing that? Are we going to be on what you call it, Slack or something like that, or Telegram? What exactly?
Yeah. Same
How
thing.
do exactly
Same thing.
intercommunity?
Proposer, right? That's the whole point of proposing. And remember, we had infrastructure, tech architecture, and tooling turn off, right? Let me turn in Epic, right? So you get to propose, right? So I'll be proposing what I think is best for this. Then the whole community of squads get to approve it, and we are good to go, right? But I'm thinking Slack. Slack is the most preferred option, obviously. It makes sense to use Slack, but I don't know if there are better project management or team management software out there.
Well, Discord works.
For Discord, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we can propose. That's the whole point of proposal.
My challenge with Slack is if you're not using the premium version, you don't really get to enjoy it. Because after a while, when the messages start, coming to their 10,000s, you find out that you can't access something that happened 1 or 2 weeks ago and all of that.
Okay, well, I think we cannot propose. What I'll do is I'll split everybody into squads based on your category and whatever is selected, right? Then um, I would invite you guys to this backlog, so you get to fill in your details, or you get to make changes to whatever you want to work on, and assign things to yourself. Yeah, but we can't use Telegram. I'm saying Telegram, right? So we can't use Telegram because the way it's going to work, we're going to have a systems design channel, right? We're going to have a systems development channel. We're going to have systems contribution channel, right? Those plenty system, right? Those plenty channels. We can't do that on Telegram. Yeah, so it's not something one person gets to decide. Everybody has a vote. But I strongly prefer Slack, but if you think Discord is better, then we'll propose that to them. The team gets to vote and decide.
Sorry,
Okay,
there's a Michael Schumacher that said something like Discord is closing down. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, Michael, Discord is closing down.
Yes,
Oh, I'm just hearing that.
but they have given a certain day when, because I have a team that I work with on Discord, and one of the devs mentioned it that so they will soon move the meeting somewhere else.
Okay. Okay.
That sounds quite automated.
That's intense.
I'm going to access the Jira stuff.
I have your emails. I have at least most of you that applied to be part of the systems team and contributors. I'll just group you guys and we start working. So I'll invite you guys to the Jira board. But before that, I have to pay for the paid version so everybody can accommodate everybody.
Okay, the specific hours per week, or
I think multiple people are speaking at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what did you say?
Is there a specific amount of hours per week? Just something as we go, just go.
Well, there's specific time frame. When you did you fill the form, Ben? I don't know if you fill the form. When you fill the form, you state the amount of hours you can work.
Yeah, I did the problem.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a work you can do full time, right? It's something we do when we have free time. So it's not a full time work. Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Somebody has a question.
So for people who are not earlier registered, what is the procedure?
Send you a form link. Or you can go to my Twitter profile. That form link should still be there. It's still open. You can just register.
All right.
So I'm and I'm saying the whole Discord closing down thing is a hoax.
Oh, it's a
Like a
hoax.
WhatsApp PC going around, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I was thinking, why do they want to close?
I think I was thinking the same thing. Like, that would have been too deep.
Okay, yeah. So Discord will be part of the tooling we'll be proposing. Right. Then the front end guys, obviously, you guys need to propose your tooling and architecture you'll be using. Right. Then there's something you guys would also need to do for me. You would need to have a naming convention for your components, right? I think we have one for design tokens, but that's just for design tokens, right? So I know BEM is there, the block element modifier you guys use in CSS. Then I know there's one you guys use in Tailwind CSS. Which other one day again? I think there's Cube also, right? So you guys also need to propose your naming convention for your components in CSS, right? Then I would also be proposing a naming convention for naming your design token, right? So you want to make sure that if Ben is in JOS, naming his design token in Figma, right? Kenny in Abuja would also be using the same naming convention to name his or her design tokens. So it's sort of consistent throughout. Right. Then there's something I said will be integrated into our design system or will be offering is page layout slash templates, right? So the thing about design system is basically to improve workflow and increase consistency, right? But consistency can mean a lot of things, right? We can have a consistent design system and we have 10 teams using that design system and they're going to have different products, right? They may probably have the same color style throughout, they may have the same typography, they may be using the same button, but we're going to have different products, right? What we're trying to strive for in this our design system is coherency, right? Which is the whole point of using a page layout. So I want to say, if I leave this page, right, probably you're using a 2-column style for your hero section, right? I want to say if I'm leaving the Federal Ministry of Education, I'm going to the Federal Ministry of Police Affairs, I want that structure or layout to be consistent, right? Or to be coherent. Coherent to be a better word, right? So we're striving for coherency, which is why we are going to be offering page layout or templates to guide them to know how to structure their websites. Yeah, so which is the whole point of me putting this. So I recently just learned about coherency from a system designer in Germany. Right, so I told him I was striving for consistency, but in reality, what I was striving for is coherency. And he had to explain the difference for me, right? Because you can use a material design system to design a product. I'll use the same design system to design a product, and they are going to look like two completely different products. And we don't want that when it comes to these federal products. Yeah, so when we are working on this, you may want to look for inspiration, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have the US design system, right? Look for, you can go through theirs. We have the US design system. We have the UK design system, okay? So we basically don't have to do everything from scratch, right? So design system from the federal government, we can look at their layouts. Oh, see, they have page templates, coherency, design tokens, right? Then we have the UK, right? So we can use this as our references, both of them. If you can explore more, good for us. Yeah. So this would be our two sort of inspirations. But obviously our design will be sexier because we have a very broad team of designers and developers. But our design doesn't have to be complex, right? From working in government or working in an enterprise, I found out that the mental models of most of the people working there, since their age demographic is quite high, usually from 40 to 70, right? They don't need stress. We don't need to have plenty colors. See, it's always very simple. Always very simple. We don't need to have plenty colors. We don't need to make it green, make it white, make it light green, make it yellow, right? It should be very, well, we have accessibility experts to make sure we are on point, right? So that's basically it. And yeah, that's that on coherency and page layouts and templates. Any question?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shoot. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The question is what is the time frame for this project? Like when are we starting and when are we likely to end it?
I think for 0.01 alpha, right, it should be available in 3 months at most, right? Then for 1.0, we are looking at 6 months, right?
6 months, okay.
Yeah, so I will make our first release in 3 months as a Figma file with light documentation, right? Then we'll just start building out from there. So they're already versioning we can use, right? Once you click on the versioning, there's an explanation so you know how to version what you're working on. Right. So it's not, like
Okay,
I
okay.
said, it's not what we do and hand off, right? And it's not what we have to do for a lifetime, right? So one thing I love about blockchain, the blockchain ecosystem, is the issue of governance. So we can say for this year we're going to have this product squad working on this, right? The next year we can vote for contributors to become product squads and they keep working on it, right? Then next year, every 6 months, we just vote and we turn around the leadership and just rotate teams. So we don't have one team working on this indefinitely because we have full-time jobs and we have other things we need to do at our time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So schedule will be flexible to everybody's schedule also. Ba?
Yeah, it's flexible to your schedule. And if you filled the form, you are either applying to work on this 1 hour a day, 2 hours, not even a day, 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, right? So the whole point of having subtasks, right? So say we are working on colors. No, not proposal. We're working on colors design, right? All I have to do is just let me populate this with subtasks, right? So say Murphy as a designer is working on this. I publish this, right? Since there are documentation, there are guidelines for basically how you annotate tokens, how you design duration and feature, right? And I probably come to this, right? Somebody has worked on the annotation. I can go ahead and start testing color, right? Or I can just see where has this person gotten to. They have tested color, the person has not started working on it. I can just go ahead and work on usability testing, right? So you creating a subtask for a story doesn't mean you have to see it through to the end, right? You can work with other people, right? It might be in teams of two, right? So when you're done with usability testing, another person can come and say, oh, this person has checked this done, but has not presented, and go ahead to present to the developer, right? But for you to present to a developer, you have to understand what you are doing, right? So you can easily go through this top task, get a good idea of what they worked on, you can present, or reach out to whoever is working on this and present, right? So we're not saying because you started working on this, you created this as colors, it doesn't mean you have to see it through, right? You can just assign this to yourself. You can have 4 people working on this or 5 people working on this. The whole point of this is, yeah, the whole point of this is teaching you how to work in an enterprise and how to work in a design systems team. It's just experimental.
But what you told me was that everything was just 7 or around the number.
What did you say?
That's the truth. Those ones are rubber. Can you
Yeah,
repeat that
who
song?
is that talking? Can the person mute
No,
yourself?
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
I'm
can hear
saying
you. What did you
is,
say?
what is expecting everything like this actually?
Okay, nice.
No, I
No,
was
no,
right.
no.
Comment. How did I make that person talking?
No,
Comment.
this dude is rubber.
So let's start that. Because I'm having a class now.
Okay, okay. I think that's from your end too. Yeah, you asked something. What did you say?
No, sorry.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone else.
Okay. Is he still there? Hello.
So he just he said
Yeah,
he
I'm still there. I understood all what you said.
Oh, okay, okay. All right. Is there
I
any
understood
more
what you said.
questions? I need to go and buy barbecue fish. So class will soon, the meeting will soon end. Questions?
Oh,
Hi,
please.
please.
Maybe a recording of this after the class.
Yeah, there's a recording. I started recording before we started.
It will be made available, right?
Yeah, I'll send it to your emails.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. So
very good.
questions?
You are.
I don't be hungry now. I the works this morning. Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much for the session.
yeah, no wahala, man. Yeah. So as usual, like I like saying at the end of every meeting, if I catch you on Twitter or anywhere, start saying you're working on the design system when you're working on the star guide or pattern library, I go drag you. Okay, that's the whole point of these exercises and these meetings. So you know the difference, right? Because in the last 4 or 5 months, I've been seeing a lot of open role for design systems, even design observe, right? There are a lot of open roles for this, but most of us don't even know the difference, and we don't even know how design system work at scale, right? So this should sort of put our leg in the door and give us an opportunity to get more money. Everything we are doing is for money. Are you just coming, Bolaji? I explained the difference before now. Are you just coming?
You would receive the recording. So
Bolaji, you go and watch the record, you know.
I think through the recording,
Okay,
I'm
I'm
going
going.
to get more information about this meeting.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
okay, that's fine then. The recording is like 24 hours video, so I was like, wow. Well, I'm going to watch it then. I have no choice.
yeah, so what you need is just at the beginning. I explained that at the beginning. Then when you are done, you can close the video. You don't have to watch it to the end.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
All right. Any more questions for me? Anybody wants to ask for my
so
APEC tag?
Yeah, I want to ask a
how
question.
how would
Oh, there's an abeg tag. Let me send my own.
I think Akinkumi is going first. I think you may be asking something.
No, I was asking for how my own from yours will come here actually.
How what?
How your fish will actually get here too. I mean, my own portion of the fish because I heard it.
I know hear wetin you dey talk. As I say, I don't hear food and money.
You know the yes fish, I mean. So
Show, but I want chop fish.
I go drop my bed tag. What you say myself?
This one they wish nonsense. This one they ask for giveaway. Wish nonsense giveaway. I dey find I want to go pay for Jira now. Let me even see how much Jira pricing is. Maybe something I can chest. Or if I have to beg for money. Let's see Jira pricing. Jira pricing and go. Let's see. 10,000 users is how much? No, we don't need 10,000. Up to 10. Ah, well, I don't think we can use Jira for up. Why is Jira behaving like? So if let's say we have 100 users. Salary. I don't have salary to pay a month. Well, we might have to look at another platform apart from Jira. I like stories and epics. Well, we may have to propose something other than this, right? Because right now they are saying, okay, let's say we have, well, let's even say 20.
How about Myro?
Let's say we have 20 users. 20x 140, that's $140 times 450. This is almost 70K a month. Too. No, this is like 62K. It doesn't matter. 62K a month times 12 months. How much will land? And it's an open source project. Except we mysteriously receive funding. But apart from that, I don't think there's a better task management software like Jira, right? And I really love these templates for automating subtasks. Well, I may look for funding, but I doubt people like to help Nigerian government. I don't know. Let's just see how it goes. But if we can't use Jira, then somebody has to propose something we can use for this. I can't pay for this. I'll die.
we can start on, or we can raise funding. Actually, I think we can just put up something.
I can. This is much for me. If it wasn't so much, right? It was probably 100 or 500 a year. But it's not 700 monthly. Let's say we're having 100 team in 10 product squads.
Why is it per user set? That is the main part. Why is it per user?
I don't know. They define gone. They define gone. So yeah, so either I'll look for it to raise funding. But before we even start thinking of funding, let's get the design foundation off the ground and just get started.
Murphy,
Sir, present sir.
check. Calm down now. No, you sir yet. Check the annual. Let's see the.
I think I was on annual, I think. This
Your
annual now.
monthly. This annual now.
With 700 a year for 10 users. Wait now, see now. Okay, let's say 30. How much your land?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
3,500.
Wow.
And we don't be touching. We get better government. We go sponsor am. Our government, nothing to write home about. So let's say 300. Okay, let's just say So if we're like 50 now.
I beg. Person they earn $70 to $90.
Now still 3,500 actually.
Now,
I think it's 26 to 50. And I think 26 to 50.
Oh, okay. 7K a year. Wow. I've never checked this. I'm usually working for teams of less than 10. So now free one when they use. Wow. 30, 35. 35 times 450 or 400. This is 1.4 M. I'll buy land, I'll start foundation.
Child.
Yeah, and Trello is there, right? But I don't know if I can automate subtask. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to make this as seamless as possible, right? Trello, I don't know if you can automate subtask. Oh no, my company Trello board they no, I beg, I open Trello at that time. So I don't know if Trello can automate subtask. Has anyone ever tried Trello?
Not really.
Yeah, I tried that in travel before.
Yeah,
I
me
think
they.
it can be automated to some extent.
Okay.
I've tried Trello,
Okay.
but
If
I'm not sure of that subtask. Yeah.
yeah, Mide is saying we can. I don't know. Yeah, I think if you guys can propose something we can use. But right now, Jira is too expensive for something we are doing for free. Right? So I thought I could
Can we
test it. Yeah,
can we
go
check
ahead.
on this
Can we what?
Try
Dot,
on a
Yeah,
job
we
description.
can't have that now. I don't know.
base count or fruit count?
Yeah.
On Trello, there are some integrations that you can use to automate. I think I have once used one for Substacks, but I use that. There's this one I use for.
Oh, okay. I've never tried Trello. Asana, I've heard of Asana. I've never tried it, and I don't know if their pricing plan is friendly.
From that was for.
Well, I'm happy we're having this meeting, so we get to decide what we want to use. What's their pricing like? I like checking pricing first, and if they have automation.
Musky, am I seeing airtime here? What's going on?
Why mostly they
It's
write
between
airtime?
Oh,
Oh,
okay. I said
Airtable.
there go.
All of them, they are billing per users. Ah, okay. So Mosky mentioned, come on,
One is
Airtable,
just of the other.
Airtable. So let me just write them down. So I'll go through them. Asana. I think there's ClickUp. I don't know how ClickUp work. Click. Is it ClickUp or Click It Up? ClickUp. Is it ClickUp? ClickUp. ClickUp. Trello.
Click up,
It's
click up.
ClickUp. Oh, I'm correct. Trello. Okay.
Someone
What
mentioned
about base count?
Which one?
motion. I think.
Base count.
Can
Sorry,
you can you spell it?
I know this.
Base and camp. Like base of this thing of a container.
Base. Oh, base camp. Oh, never tried it. So
Yeah,
let's write it there.
base
Base
camp.
camp. Okay, I think this will be on that proposal. Okay, base camp. So
And also fruit camp.
which one be that one? Free like FREE.
Yeah. D. Freed.
Free camp.
Then
Oh,
camp.
there are a lot of task management software out there. Free camp.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Hope one thing I like to ask. Hope the learning curve is not very high. Well, I think that's something I have to check on my own.
Well, I think we have to leverage one for the other. It's
Uh,
either you learn.
we go learn. What WhatsApp still join? We go get WhatsApp group, yeah. But how we want to automate subtask? That's like the primary thing. So let's say a contributor now, because I know somebody from Switzerland. I don't know if she's here. She wants to be part of the team, right? And she's coming, right? She's not part of the meeting. She's coming. She wants to know how to document or design a component, right? How do we automate those subtasks? Is there like a bot on WhatsApp? If you actually use WhatsApp, if bots deal. For voice note. Okay, we actually use that.
Just to explain, you just explain what you're to propose. Work.
Okay. Well, we need to take everything into consideration, sha, because we don't get that kind of money. Now free work and it's more or less a learning experience. So WhatsApp should be there too. All right. So work zone.
Check work zone too.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay, work zone.
I think we can chase that one. Work zone 250. Not so much. And we have enough. So we go propose. Okay, I think I'll be in charge of proposing this, right? Then I'll put the pros and cons for all of them. Then everybody gets, I'll present to you guys, we review, then we approve. I don't think we have to doc and publish this. We have to, is the process. we have to doc and publish this for anyone just joining us, right? Especially for onboarding new team members or contributors, so they know what tools we are working with. Stress. Okay, yeah. So
Hold on.
yeah, and any other thing I think with me. Hope I'm pronouncing this your name well.
You are forgiven.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, so design system, right? Companies I've seen creating design system. The whole reason I delved into design system was money, obviously. I don't think I like money. I like money a lot, right? So
It's what?
yeah, so I saw someone sending a proposal for a design system for an enterprise company, right? And he was charging 300K USD for the MVP, not maintenance yet, not maintaining the system.
Oh boy.
When I saw the money, I was like, God, am I not your son? Right? So that was like the whole motivation. Right? That was like the whole motivation. So before I start anything, I have to check, is there money in it? I'm not just learning because I want to have so much knowledge. God forbid bad thing. Tell me something. Right. So yeah, so yeah, and there are a lot of design system opportunity. I've seen a lot. They are much, right? And they are paying good money. Apart from product management, what do they call it? Designing, front end dev, content strategy, accessibility. Those plenty things you have to work. There's the design ops part, right? Design ops is basically just managing the workflow, the people working on the product, managing your practices and your processes, just to help designer scale or to amplify the value of design, as you like to say, right? A popular saying among design system ops or design ops rather is, all the only thing designers still to do is design, right? They don't have to worry about how to create content guidelines. They don't have to worry about UX. They don't have to worry about writing codes, right? All they have to do is design. That's the whole point of design ops, right? Amplify the value of design, right? So that's what I'll basically be doing. I won't touch Figma, God forbid. You won't see me writing code, right? Mine is just to set up infrastructure for communication, for documentation, all our integrations, how do we release, how do we automate. That's basically delivery, right? That's my job. My role would be for design ops. Yeah. So I think two other people or three other people applied to join design ops. So I won't be the only person working on design ops, right? So our work would just to make sure that we are delivering on time. How's our delivery system like, or pipeline, as you like to call it? What integrations are we using? How do we version? What are breaking changes that will make us want to move from 1.0 to 2.0, right? What infrastructure are we setting in place to make sure the system is very efficient, right? What are communication channels? How do people request for support? How do we fix defects? All those plenty things. Our job is to set practices and processes in place for you to work well, right? So that's my job. So you guys that applied for design and development, you guys are strong people. So we'll leave you guys to your job. I'll make sure you do your job very well. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so you just take Trello, you can automate with Butler. So they have this integration kind of stuff. Butler,
Can you spell,
you
please?
can automate. BUT.
Okay. LER.
Yeah, LER.
Okay. Butler automation. Okay, we'll check it out.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can automate your cards on Trello.
Okay, so when I add, I'll check it out. Because this is going to be, well, it's not. I don't think it's much of your problem. It's more or less. Oh, what's the plan for front end or front end developer? You guys are in charge of creating the design tokens, right? So our job would be to design the tokens, annotate. Your job would be to
On top, the person want do things.
yeah.
Inside the top.
Okay, so your job would be to develop uh your job would be to develop the token, right? Your job would be to develop the token or develop the components, develop search bar, develop cards, whatever you are developing. Musky on top say person want to do 200K UI. Now I like to
I
do
tell you.
now I like to do 200K work now. I remember the last time I did 200K work. So moreover, this would actually make what's to say? This would actually make the work of those designing this product very easy for them. all you have to go to Figma is just drag and drop, right? So let me jump to Figma. I think I have one I put here. So let me come to my library and
Hey, I have a question.
yeah, shoot.
So, while I was registering, I didn't really understand the department I'm going to fall in, but I think I do now. Is there a way I can change that?
Well, you can just send an email. Send an email to me, so I would have that.
Right. All right, that's fine.
Yeah. So for those designing 200k UI, like Moxie said, right? All you have to do now when you have this is just basically drag and drop. Okay, never load. Yeah, you just drag and drop when you are building whatever you are building. Drag and drop, make edits. Drag and drop. Yeah.
Chairman.
Yeah. Let me turn on this.
Yeah, wait to check what I applied for. The department I applied for.
I don't think so. You've forgotten where you applied to.
I'm sure I forgot.
Maybe you should reapply.
He said, I swear.
Yeah, maybe you should reapply. I will see your duplicate it anyway. How much are they charge? Mosque, I know we talk, but if you don't reach 1K, I know they open Figma. Oh. Yeah, if you don't reach 1K, I know they open Figma.
Okay, we'll reach there.
This Mosque can whine. Mosque, I know say they work for sport. I know say they work for Spotter. Oh. Now just to ask Jera.
No answer Mosque the line.
No mind now. Mosque wait us say this year. If the project don't reach 1M, you know go start them. And he start that project this year. They say no mind now.
No disease was here, Mosque. Thank you.
Forbes, better respect yourself. Oh. You know, say na man you work on the lucky work. Better respect yourself. Okay. I think we're done. We are done with design system Wahala for today. So any other question apart from design system?
Now we need to give away, boss.
When I make the money I want to make. Which plugin? Must which plugin you ask about?
Okay, Chairman, would there be a way to list out the departments so I'll know whether I'll use again in my head? Okay, no worries, I'll go back to the form. Let me take a look.
Musk is asking me for a plugin. I don't have any. I'm not sure I've showed any plugins since. So. Okay, no, that was a design system. Yeah, so a design system.
The library is showed.
Yeah. I just went to community and browsed for Ant's design system. Yeah, it's on the community one. Once you browse for it, right, you publish it as part of your style. So let's say I want to use material, right? Something like material.
I think there are some other ones for you.
Yeah. So you can have this. All you have to do. Yeah. So all you have to do is just duplicate, then come here and publish. Wait, it should load.
Okay.
Publish. Then
whatever
Figma file you find yourself in, just come here and turn it on. Right. So I have a list of gradients I'm always using for my design, and they are in the liquid color system. So now if I need whatever gradients, it doesn't matter the color. I'll just come here and I'll see all my gradients I've created. So I don't struggle with gradients much. So there are things you don't have to, like when I'm working on a mobile app, right? I can't remember the last time I created a typography from scratch. All I have to do is just come here, come to, was that in Argos? Was that in Argos? Oh, where is that guy? I think Argos. Yeah, probably Argos. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's Argos. So if I'm working on a web project, I just come here and for web, I just turn it on. This Figma new update where I have to use network to load my styles, it's tiring. Yeah, so if I'm working on mobile, I have a mobile. So I don't have to start thinking of how to do this. Highest that can happen would be me changing the typeface. Me probably changing the typeface. Probably I don't want to use soft sans. Change to DM
Oh, okay,
sans.
awesome.
Yeah, so you don't have to struggle with your typeface or your visual hierarchy for typography. Don't stress yourself. Same for colors, right? If you have a color style, right? Probably you have a primary color, a secondary color, then you have different accents. You can do the same thing. Probably this is my primary color I'm using, right? And I'm moving to a new workspace. I want to use the same accents or the same color, right? By default, you're usually in hex. I switch to HSL, right? I just probably tweak the hue. I don't mess around with the brightness or
Like,
yeah, so I don't touch saturation or light. So that way I can just start switching my accents small to my new color scheme. Yeah, so that's it. Back to Google Meet. Voila. Yeah, just consistency. Same for layout. Same for layout. I just publish my layout for web or mobile. Yeah, you're going to be placed in squad. I want to say today, but I know after eating I will sleep off or we just keep playing games. So within the week, latest Tuesday, notification should be sent to you via mail.
alright.
All right, Chief.
Yeah, Moss is asking if all my design will not look the same. Look the same in what sense? I'm basically just changing the typeface and changing
No,
the color.
no.
Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
think you
doing.
solved it when you say surface.
Oh, okay. No, it's not as if I'm doing any big thing. I'm just tweaking it. I don't want to have to decide, start saying, it's H164, is it 58? What's the spacing? I'll just publish and just tweak the typeface. So no stress. Musky, one share with us actually. Musky, share your workflow with me now. I beg now. Help my life. I didn't see some kind of way they create and they mad.
How far?
I did a big man.
Should make I talk.
Oh yeah now.
Should make I talk.
I beg. I don't meet myself.
My wife I go small. I beg.
Scam.
Really?
I'll call Musky, I see your job open. I'll call into with you, I beg you. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I think it's time for me to run. It was nice having this meeting with you guys.
Same here.
Yeah, so
Item 7.
item 7.
Thanks a lot.
Item
Thanks a
7.
lot.
Item 7. It
Thanks a
will
lot,
come.
boss.
Once money come, item 7 will
When I
come.
was in,
Yeah, so tomorrow or Tuesday, I will start rolling out your squads. Then I'll also propose our tax management in tomorrow, so everybody gets to decide what to use.
All right.
So bye guys, back to work. You go be.
Bye.